The cover of the last chapter. We are watching all the people here, and also Gojo with Geto, plus Super News. The magic battle has gained 100 million copies. To concretize this case, Nabara puts forward a theory. What if this is not a curse, but someone's remote control? Maybe then we just need to change our location? Yuji also thought they were within range. Well, Megumi says that it will be troublesome if this technique is for such secret work, and the shaman can be quite skilled. At the same time, Nabara wanted to ask the woman, are there any moments when her husband's face returns to normal? The woman suggested that it might be when she goes to bed. Therefore, a shaman of the first rank offers a zone of 100 meters. Yuji doesn't really understand how to do this, because they are in the center of the city with a lot of people. You just need to find the field, and when the radius of the technique ends, and the creator wants to activate it again, they will immediately find it. Well, the next idea is to throw Yuji with this woman for a 100-meter run. Yuji will cover this distance in no time. But Megumi declares that you need to be a complete idiot in order to activate the technique again after the breakup. Most likely, they will hide and wait for a new case. There was also the idea of sending to the other side of Japan with payment for all services, but this is also fraught with losing sight of the enemy. Nabara and Yuji are asked not to complicate the situation, because Megumi's guesses are based on a difficult opponent. But this does not mean that he is so skilled in fact. After going out and looking around from the window, where can such a thing be done here? The group built a final plan. As soon as the enemy activates the technique after the break, they will immediately attack. The place of implementation of this plan has become a high-rise building. A couple of guys were thrown in for observation, but the gap zone is 150 meters. Megumi does not particularly exclude eavesdropping. It may appear, because the enemy pursues the victim 24 hours a day. Well, now let's get started. The victim goes up to the 40th floor and discovers that her husband's face has returned to normal. At the same moment, everyone noticed the manipulator. Nabara visually sees some kid in a hood and without a doubt flies down from this high-rise building. Hammering into the side wall of the building, he slows down his landing. Yuji lands epically with her. The guy was blown away by such monsters. At the moment, Nabara and Yuji look at each other, and their faces change strangely. Both are in shock and at the same time burning over each other. The caster uses this opportunity and tries to escape. That's just a huge hound knocks the boy on his stomach without being able to move. Megumi returned his 10 shadows, and as we can see, his supply of cursed energy has grown noticeably, because Shikigami has become bigger. Well, then the teacher of Megumi chastises two fools for their frivolity. Well, in return they ask, does he know this guy? And Megumi replies that she doesn't know him. As a result, it turned out that the stalker terrorized this lady intentionally. This is actually expected. Holding a grudge, personal showdowns began. The guy spent $1,000 on her bag, and she did something strange to him. In short, the cases are typical. Nabara is shocked. What little things? And how many adventures? Yuji pays attention to the guy who was loaded into the car and decides to come over and have a heart-to-heart talk with him. The guy was sad. Yuji tries to make him happy by saying that they definitely won't execute him. The man himself is not particularly in the spirit. I don't know what will happen to him next. He also begins to condemn his behavior because his age does not allow him to forgive such mistakes. The long-awaited conversation between Yuji and Gojo begins. The very thing that Sensei passed on to the student during his lifetime. Sitting in the training room, Yuji wants to swap bodies with Gojo, believing that it will be much more productive. But the teacher stops the boy, saying, "What, don't they have enough Satoru Gojo?" Gojo asks to look at Yuji more visionarily, to think about the future. Sensei wants Yuji to continue his work and follow his dream if something happens to him. But if his path ends there, then the time will come when the guys will grow up more than he ever did. Well, he also confidently assures that with them, someone will definitely forget their sensei and become incredibly strong. Yuji says affirmatively that none of them will ever forget him. Itadori notices Gojo's behavior and conversations a little strange. He is kind of timid, and this is not typical of his character. And Gojo is making fun of young Yuji. The words he had said earlier were with unprecedented confidence. He expects a lot from Yuji. Returning to the present time, young Yuji is glad that the guy recognizes the moment when he did the wrong thing. But after he thinks about his actions, he will be happy to wait for his help in the next mission. In the finale, there are the instructions that Gojo left for him. I expect a lot from you. After saying goodbye, Itadori leaves, but Nabara asks for this thing. What did he do to her? Alluding to Sukuna's last finger. Yuji left it in the right place, and now it seems to him that it will serve as an ideal talisman. Looking at his severed fingers, which he has not yet restored, making them something like a reminder, Yuji clenches his fist firmly, looking to the future. Say, is that all? But no, they give us a more spiritual scene. Somewhere in purgatory, Sukuna meets Mahito. The embroidered face is surprised. Who would have thought that he would meet the King of Curses here? Sukuna jokes that this is their second conversation. Who remembers the scene from the first season? There he spared Mahito, but after that the king affirmatively declared that there would be no second chance. Mahito asks the question, did Sukuna lie to himself and others? He did not live according to his height, referring to his ideology. Arguments began along the lines that Sukuna actually wanted revenge on all those who resented and pursued the curse of the unwanted little scoundrel. After hearing this, the bitch kind of doesn't give a shit. What the fuck difference does it make? He lived the only way he knew how, and so he decided to continue. But in fact, he had different paths. To be more precise, there were two of them. We see two images, and then it's your turn to guess who is on the left. On the right is Urayume. It is not known who it is, Sukuna's mother, the girl with whom he knew love, or the person with whom he could share his path. But notice this figure. The paths themselves with their shadow remind me of the two blades of his technique. Just a comparison, nothing more. Ryomen Sukuna couldn't spit out the curse moving inside him. He was afraid that his own curse would burn him. Now he is philosophizing about which way to go next, and he would like to go a new way. Coming up, he chooses a tearful girl. That is, earlier he followed the path of that unknown figure, more precisely, a woman. And most likely, it was just Sukuna's mother, because we were told here about the place that he is, because he was a little unwanted scoundrel. Mahito, seeing this, burns out and shouts after him that he has softened. But Sukune once again does not care. He admits his weakness and explains it by saying that he still lost. Personally, I see a kind of spiritual growth in this moment. Now Sukuna, not being tied to his former life because his fingers no longer contain his soul, can safely be reborn, begin a new path no longer as a curse, but as a human being. Thus, a natural disaster with an unshakable ideology of loneliness chooses a new path, love. Sukuna was not left alone at the end of the journey, while Mahito is absolutely on his own. In the final finale, we see how the guys go on a new mission with Yuta, and Yuji and his friends enjoy life. Well, somewhere in the vicinity of the school where it all started, Yuji returned the mascot to its rightful place, and the door opened. That's all. The magical battle is over. And the author thanks all his readers and fans at the end of the chapter for being with him for 6 years. And here, of course, let's thank the author. At the end of the chapter, they threw us this topic. A new work from the author awaits us. Well, now I will personally tell you my opinion. Actually, the manga began with the fact that the title of the first chapters contained such a name as Ryomen Sukuna, the King of Curses. Usually, if anyone knows, in Japan, mangakas call the zero, or the first, during the first 3 chapters at least one chapter by the name of the main character, and here, such a Sukuna came out. Throughout the manga, we saw the curse and what it really is, but in the end, even the path that Sukuna believed to be true wavered, and in the end, he lost. Well, now the author shows us even more how cool Sukuna is, or rather, spiritual. He accepted his defeat, realized that as a person, even as the meaning of his existence, he could go in a different direction, and not stupidly sit still until the end, saying that absolute loneliness and life as a curse are true. I don't know about you, but I am personally pleased. Yuji has become such a mentor, sensei, and continues Gojo's dream. Utah has finally gained a foothold in its ranks of shamans. Meki still hasn't beaten him up. Hakari and Kirara returned to the Magic College, and the grating was finally over. We knew that Gojo maintained constant communication, even occasionally training with Hakari outside the boundaries of the Magic College. Well, now the world of shamans is changing, and now Yuji invites the last migration player next time, waiting for his help in a new mission. That's how the manga ended. To be honest, reading the last chapter, I was genuinely pleased. Again, a huge thank you to the author for such a narrative. For me, of course, it wasn't 6 years, but only some 4 years, but it was really nice. I don't remember ever having a manga that somehow swayed my mood during its reading. This is an incredible expectation for a new chapter. What will they show us? What kind of plot twist there will be? Or something like that. It was incredible. The author also wrote a little in the comments that he delayed the ending and would like to finish it all a little earlier. There, they had such a mini correspondence with the author of My Hero Academy. He thanked him, and like everything is fine, it ended there. They supported each other, praised each other. In general, something like that. That's all. Really, the magic battle is over. Well, thanks for watching. I'll see you later.